being live streamed too.
Yep, it's setting up now. Redirecting. All right, we are live. We should be good to
Great.
go. I turn it over
Okay.
to you guys. Go ahead, let them in, Ann.
All right.
Okay.
Start seeing the number go up. 45, 48.
Hello,
As
everybody.
everybody's joining the meeting, please remember to stay muted. Please mute yourself. At the end, we'll be taking questions from members, but please mute yourself. Thanks.
We'll need to say that again because we're still letting folks in.
Sure.
And there's always a lag from when they get into when the audio works.
Sure.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da.
So once again, everybody, please mute yourself as you're joining. We'll be taking questions from the members at the end of the meeting, but please mute yourself. I do see people who are not muted, so please make sure you're muted. Thanks.
Looks like everyone's in from the waiting room. You have 61 participants.
I'm sure we'll get some stragglers, but if you feel like that's everyone, we will begin. It's also just about almost 5 after, so let's do that. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the July board meeting for the Philadelphia Folksong Society. My name is Miles Thompson. I'm the president. And I would like to, good, Jim is here, good. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would somebody pass a motion or start a motion, present a motion that we can start the meeting and call it to order?
I do.
Good. And I need someone to second that.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, very good. We have passed a minor resolution that the meeting has been called to order because we want to make sure we're doing things right. Probably overkill, but there it is. All right, good evening, folks. We have an agenda. We're going to work through the agenda. We ask that everybody who is a participant in this meeting, who's not on the board or our helpers, please mute yourselves so we don't get any unwanted noise or silliness, happening in the audio stream. And at the end, we will take questions from members. We went over that issue last month that if this were an in-person meeting, it would be open to members, and members would be allowed to ask questions. At the moment, we are opening it up to the community as an effort to show more transparency. But since we're not offering a lot of benefits to members these days, it's the members who get to ask questions. If you're not a member and you have a burning question, please email me, mthompson@pfs.org, or you can email directors@pfs.org. I don't want people to feel left out, but so you can always get a hold of us. All right, first thing on the agenda. First of all, I saw that Jim Klingler is here, and I just want to do a check-in and see how Jim is doing. Jim, are you able to just give us an update on how you're feeling?
My recommendation is when you go to a Phillies game,
get to your seat first, and send your grandchildren to get your hot dog, and send your son to get your beer. Don't fall and don't break 6 ribs.
I'm glad your humor is back where it should be.
Well, I'm really happy to be back. You guys are a sight for sore eyes.
It's good to see you, my friend.
Thank
All
you.
right. So glad to hear that question taken care of. Hang on, hitting the wrong buttons here. All right. First thing I want to do is we need to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. Board members, we did indeed, I hope, all get a chance to look at that. Can somebody propose that we approve the minutes if everybody's comfortable?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, I was going to say that, well, I'll second that since there were no changes as far as I've seen.
Right. I had a couple of small details that I had Wendy put in before she set out the last draft. So thank you all. Meeting minutes from last month are approved. That's a pretty good thing. They're going to be posted. If they haven't been posted yet, they'll be posted very soon, everybody. I would like to start with the finance report, which is today being brought to us by Eric Ring. Eric Robbins created the report, but he is gone fishing, as they say. He's on vacation. So, I turn this over to Eric Ring. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay, so I am first going to share my screen. So I'll do this. Okay. You guys all see the membership report? Not membership, the treasurer's report?
Yes.
Yep, we see it.
All right, awesome. All right, so basically, there we go. For the income statement for July, we had revenue come in at 6,434. We paid operating expenses of 771. There were a couple expenses that came through. Vimeo is where we do the digital housing for our videos, and then our line of credit, that's the monthly charge. Those weren't paid, and so we have total expenses of 440, 4,416. Net income is 2,000. So our beginning net deficit was 125,976. Ending deficit is 123,958. So we got a little bit of headway there. The next part is our balance sheet. So we TD Bank, as of 7/26/23, we have 45,967 in the TD Bank account. We still have an estimate for the S&T Bank. Eric Robbins needs to get those statements to now. That the only thing that's happening with the S&T Bank is income is going into it. So there's some payments of membership fees that are going into that account, but there's nothing coming out. So we feel pretty sure that it's 3,000 and more once we get those. Accounts payable. This is the $915 is the interest, which is due August 1st, which that's when that'll be paid. We already kind of made reference to the Vimeo account. And then we have our outstanding debts that we basically are dealing with. The big kind of movements for United Site Services, it's 25,250. We have a verbal commitment to settle for 15,000, so we've knocked 10,000 off. We don't have that in writing yet, but they have verbally said that they would accept that. I think we pretty much have agreed with Arctic Glacier, because they did give us some discount for the melted ice. We still have the Vimeo. This is the back payment. The 2730 is the current payment for the last quarter. Upper Salford Township, $5,000, which is an agreed amount. And I think Kimberly might address that we're going to look into that a little bit. And then we have late payments for the 2020 990 of 10,500. That is something I'm going to try to abate, but I can't really do that until we get the 2021 990 filed. And there will be some late payment fines with that. And then last but not least, we have our line of credit, which is under 100,000 because Miles is kind of chipping away at that also. Cash flow. Let me just do that. Okay. So that showed our net income of 2,000, the old bills that had been paid. So we paid the 777 for the interest, and we made a $500 payment for United Site Services, which gave goodwill to them potentially compromising the 10,000. These are the new bills, the Vimeo and the interest. So basically, our ending cash balance is about 48,967. So we're better than we were last month. Not as good in terms of how we did from May to June, but still better June to July. Any questions?
I would just like to say that there's a good chance that we heard right before the meeting that Arctic Glacier might do a settlement in collections for approximately half of what is listed here. Also, that we actually paid a total of $1,000 to United Site Services because there was an earlier check that Wendy and I wrote in May or June.
Right.
And another $500 check. So they're $1,000. So we may end up paying $16,000 to them total. That's okay. And yeah, the line of credit, I'm trying to pay down a little bit at a time by adding $50 if I can to each pay, which is, small potatoes, but it's nice to have it not say $100,000. So
Right.
It's purely psychological.
And just to kind of, Miles, for what you were saying with United Site Services, the 25,250, which is being shown, that takes into consideration that we had paid them 1,000. It was originally 26,000. So yeah.
And then the other piece, simply that Vimeo, the 7,000 is for the most recent quarter. The 2,000 is the most recent quarter. The 7,000 is something that is owed and in collections, and we're going to have to try to figure that out with them. But we are trying to keep current with the non-collections payment on that if people have questions. If anybody's looking at that and saying, wait a minute, those two numbers aren't the same, that's why. All right, thank you. Thank you, Eric Ring. Anybody else have questions on that particular issue? Thank you, board.
Sure.
All right, nicely done, Eric. Thanks. Rob, do you want to do the development report? I'm putting hot and heavy duty, hit important stuff at the top.
Yes, Miles, as you know, and as our resource development committee knows, we now have a resource development plan. And now what we have to do is execute it. But I thought it would be good, after sharing and getting feedback from the resource development committee, to share and get feedback at this board meeting on the plan. Some of these questions may have to wait till the end, but we'll see how that works. So with everyone's permission, I'd like to share just a little bit of the plan now. I'm going to share the screen here, and let's see if it comes on board. Let's see. Okay. Tell me what you see. That's a good Beatles song. Here we go. Now, let's see if I can make this look a little better. I know I'm supposed to go to slideshow here, right? Okay, and then of course I just made the whole thing smaller again. We'll get it right. I'm gonna move this along here. So now you're seeing, now I just made it smaller. There we go.
It's full screen on our screens.
All right, full screen, okay. So, timeline and goals. We have a 5-phase plan. Phase 3 is in 2 parts. The first phase is before we get, this is too complicated here. I'm going to make it simple. You take a look at this for a second, and then I'll explain each one very briefly. The first phase is before we get our BCO, before we can solicit donations. We can still accept donations without asking at any point. And of course, as you all know, we can solicit memberships. So first of all, thanks to the members, we have more than 1,200 members. However, that means that at least 1,000 people on our official Facebook page and thousands of more who love the fest are not yet members. So that is going to mean we need to do a special Fest Month appeal, a special Fest Month appeal for first-time members, which will be the same membership level there's always been, $35. But we will also have a new special appeal, 61 for 61. For the 61st festival, we will have a $61 level where you will get a limited edition t-shirt at the festival that will only go to the 1,000 people total that could do that. And our goal is to raise at least $30,000. If we had even half the people who are not members on the Facebook page do that 61 level, we'll more than make that. Like anything else in fundraising, nothing is guaranteed. You have to have a plan and then you have to execute it. It really depends on what the members, how the members respond to that. And again, we have asked so much of probably most everyone on this Zoom that has already become a member. We're focused now on the many, many thousands of people, including about 1,000 plus that have not become members. And we'll talk a little bit. Obviously, our membership benefits are very, very limited in 2023. So that t-shirt will be a nice item. So that's not that exciting. We already know that we need to get membership, although we're going to do a concerted campaign for this, an appeal. But once we get our BCO, all focus is then on one major event. Now, please realize that we're going to be planning for this major event as of yesterday. And this major event, we will have more detail on, but we know it will be at the end of the year. Now, why are we doing this? Because we can't have a festival if we're in debt still. We need to be able to get out of debt. That was the reason why we postponed the festival. We didn't want this ongoing cycle of debt. So all we need to do, we're not $1 million in debt. All we need to do is get about $130,000. We believe we could do 30,000 or so through membership and about 100,000 through events. This last year, I raised $237,000 from a very much smaller event. I know that this organization can do that, particularly if we get the right location and the right talent. And we'll talk about that another time. So those are the most exciting pieces because those are the 2023. But meanwhile, we're already planning for the festival. The fundraising for the festival, we have a subcommittee called sponsorships. We're developing the sponsorship fundraising for the festival. We need to obviously begin getting those sponsorships 4 to 6 months prior to the festival minimum, which means we want to be out of debt by December 31st. I can go further right now, but I don't want to take a lot of time. We have a operational plan after the festival and a long-term plan, but I think I've said enough at this point. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions. Miles can decide whether we're taking them now or later. Quiet, silence. Maybe I don't have my headphones on. Is there silence or is someone talking?
Rob?
Miles,
Yes.
you were muted.
Rob, this is Jim Klingler.
Yes.
I wanted people to recall that nearly half of the 650 people who responded to the questionnaire reported that they were not currently members. So we want you.
Exactly. I'm having a little bit listening. I heard that, Jim, but I'm having a little bit of an audio problem. But I did hear what Jim just said. That's correct. We know that all the people on this Zoom, just about everyone is a member, and they're true believers, and they want to see a 61st festival. Fundraising requires a buy-in, though. So we have a plan now, and certainly you can give feedback to that plan, but we're all going to need to buy into a plan.
Thank you, Rob.
Sure.
Kimberly and Rob, do you want to talk about the membership report and where we are? Maybe that's Rob and Kimberly. I'm not sure the order of that.
Sure. I can talk numbers for a second, but Kimberly has a real great vision for the membership. In terms of the numbers, we're a little lower than we were last month. We were at about 1,200 last month. So we did not get as many renewals that we would like to have, but we had about a dozen or so last month. So we're still hovering above 1,200. We're going to have an exact figure. Well, I know this is getting taped, but I truly believe that by next month, we will have an exact figure for you. And the reason I believe that is we have a wonderful volunteer that has database experience, and we're going to make sure that she has access to getting those reports. So I appreciate everyone's patience with that, but we believe we have about 1,200 members at the moment.
Good. Kimberly?
Hey, everyone. I just wanted to add that just Monday, I spent probably more time than I should have in our platform called Wufoo. And that is where all the memberships live. And I was able to discover different reports and things. So we also have that kind of information that is now available to us. And it wasn't that it wasn't available to us prior, it was just we simply didn't know how to access it. So it took a day of me kicking around until I figured out how to manipulate it. I was able to update the thank you letters and other things. So slowly but surely, I'll get in there and kick around a little bit more, and we should be able to give you more accurate update on the membership numbers wise at the next meeting. Yeah, and should I go into my report unless, Rob, you have something else to say?
Are you talking about which report? I've got you doing several.
Oh, I was just going to go to the marketing and comms. I was just going to roll right in.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, since you're talking.
Sorry, Miles. Okay. It's actually big, but I'm going to try and make it really concise here. Shout out to the Marketing and Communications Committee. Every Thursday, I thank everyone who online supports the throwback photos that our lovely photographers have sent in. Every Thursday, we turn the graphic, and that turn of a graphic suggesting folks renew, upgrade, the 4 ways to save fest, turns in money and memberships to the festival. So I want to thank everyone for that. Then now I'm going to give you updates on the specific teams that we have working. The first one is the website team. Sue Decker and she's going to archive the entire pfs.org. Just got her logged in. I hope all that worked, Sue. So this is just starting to happen. So once it's archived, it should not take long before we start moving to the next steps. And this is a big one, so I'm really happy to report that. Secondly, we already have some of the copy for the new website from the co-op. That team met and they got busy. And thanks to Mara and Megan and Rob for that. So as soon as we're ready for the new website, we already have the whole co-op portion done. So that's awesome. I also want to tell all the membership and everyone on the call that I sent an email to Sam, who looks after folkfest.org for us, and asked him to do some updates and to give us an accounting of where we are for the year, since we pay him monthly. So I'll let you all know when that gets done. Moving on to Team 2, which is Special Projects. That's Joe Henderson and Claire Noyes. Those two were working independently, putting lists together. Joe has used his folk festival lists to reach out already to other folk festivals, because what he's doing is he's getting a high level data comparison between how Philly Folk Festival works and other folk festivals around North America. He has already spoken to Careville, which is in Texas, Kutztown, which is near, Gray Fox, I believe, is on the list. He may have already spoken to them, and Falcon Ridge, and a couple of other ones mixed in between. I'm not sure if Joe is here this evening, but he is just super. He put together a list and everything is going right along. So I look forward to hearing what he comes up with, and then we can share it with everybody else. Claire is doing a local list, local venues. Annie's put everybody together, and I can't wait until our next meeting so we can all come together and see what we have discovered. All of this is just to, you know, do a little same sales comparison, right? The third team is new media. I've got, this is very exciting. I have, speaking of the 61 for 61, Cliff and I are going to work on a marketing plan for that to assist the development committee. I have the amazing Anthony and Kara who have agreed to do graphics to support this fundraiser. They have also agreed to do graphics for anything moving forward with Fest 2024, which means we will be branded from stem to stern. Everything that we do for Fest 2024 will have the exact same look and brand on it, which is pretty cool. They're also, and I hope I'm not giving them too much, but they're on vacation, so they can't hear this right now. So they're also going to do the special t-shirt for us. So that logo is going to flow all the way through. The special 61 for 61 t-shirt will give you much more details on that, but it's very exciting. You will pick it up at Fest. So everyone's probably thinking, you don't have staff. How are you going to get us t-shirts? You pick them up at the 61st Fest. Okay, so much more on that to come. I also have Sarah Sweet, who is helping out creating graphics. She's amazing, just met her. Carson and Jess are on Facebook, so they're going to start helping to schedule to get all of our social media running. So we got a lot of plates spinning, everybody. I hope I didn't leave anybody's names out. Go back Thursday. Oh, okay, let me just turn the page. So I think that is it. Is that all four? New media, graphics?
I think so.
Oh, okay, so let me just
Newsletter.
Yeah, well, the newsletter, because I need my newsletter people, because we need to create that, which I saw Jonathan Takif is on the call. Jonathan, can you and I have a quick chat since I see you? Shout out to Jonathan. Let me move on to the committee chairs, because, is that okay, Miles? While I'm on a roll? Okay.
Yeah.
We had a wonderful meeting with the committee chairs. It was kind of a, hey, let's start to brainstorm about 2024. But we,
Kimberly, hang on. Let's be clear for our members. We're talking about the festival committee chairs.
Oh, yes. Forgive me. Yes, for the festival committee chairs, we had a Zoom meeting. It was a very productive meeting. Learned a lot. Sent a report to the board, which we have to talk about. And I anticipate the next committee chairs meeting happening in September. Also, I had a 2-hour meeting today with Alyssa Landis, and we had a wonderful chat. And so we're just going to carry all of this forward. I have some plans to meet with the committee chairs, and I think Alyssa and I landed that we wanted to, what was it, the grounds folks, the infrastructure folks, we would probably have on one meeting, and then I forget what she called the other folks, because this is all new to me. But anyway, we'll have it all sorted, and I'll send you all information. And I still have Barry Sadowski, met with Barry Sadowski. We are going to start the strategic plan for the Folksong Society for 2024, because the current strategic plan that we have expires here in 2023, which is kind of perfect timing since we're reviewing everything anyway. So Barry, and he's going to start with Miles. He's going to interview every member of the board. Then we're going to all together come and create a strategic plan. So stay tuned for more information on that. And thank you to Barry for offering his time and also his amazing photos. One more thing. Oh, do you want me to talk about the township?
Since you're there, yeah.
Okay. So the township, they agreed, Kevin and I had a great chat, agreed to the $5,000, so that settlement is imminent. Something else that he made me aware of was that that evening, the township was voting on upping the amusement tax to 10%. And what that means is, and they passed the vote. So what that means is that for every ticket we sell at Fest, there is a 10% tax added on by the township that goes back to the township that pays for all of their services, such as the police and the fire and the roads and, you know, all of the services that we use in tandem with them. So I just want to make everyone aware that that 10% is on every ticket, from volunteer tickets to media passes. So I just want to give everybody the heads up that that is something that has changed, and it is obviously higher than we are used. Anyone is used to paying. So just wanted
Kimberly, had it previously been roughly 5%, or do we know?
It was 6%.
Okay.
You know, last year we paid 6%, or that was what it was supposed to be. Unfortunately, that wasn't translated effectively to all of the tickets that were supposed to be charged the 6%, which I learned that when I reviewed the ticketing report with Mark, I think his name is, from UPT. So that's why we had to come to a settlement with the township. So that's where we are.
So just so that the membership is all clear, that is a sizable increase on costs of anything that's called a ticket inside Fest. So not only tickets to get in, but anything internally that's a ticket that includes things like tickets on the golf cart rides if you need to get from point A to point B, or tickets on, you know, parking tickets to, you know, so some of it may have to be, we rename a few things, but regardless, it's going to be an increase in cost, which presents a problem that we are going to have to just overcome. Right, ice tickets, shower tickets, anything called a ticket. So it's not really, we are in conversation with them about, I don't think they fully understand how debilitating it could be to us. They very much want us. They have reached out and very much want us to return. And you know, we may have to play with some language and then see if the language passes legal muster. But we also just have to be, I want everybody to be aware this is a new challenge. And in fact, as was mentioned in our pre-meeting, most municipalities have an amusement tax on all tickets of any kind that is somewhere in that zone. So I'm not sure that moving localities, for instance, which we're not talking about doing at the moment, would help, because we'd probably be stuck with this sooner or later wherever we went, because it's been, you know, a neat thing that communities are hearing other communities are doing, and they're jumping on the bandwagon. So be aware, this is a new wrinkle we have to deal with.
Yes, and I thank you, Miles. I also wanted to clarify, it's Kevin O'Donnell at the township is who I'm speaking with. Yeah. And I also have the document, should anyone want, you know, a copy of it. He sent me the actual ruling.
Okay, cool. Eric Ring.
Yeah, and just to clarify, even so, the tickets that are given away, so like, you know, there are people in the community who get free tickets. What the ordinance says basically is we would convert that to what that ticket would be worth, and then it's the 10% on that. So even though we're not getting any revenue from that ticket, we still have to pay the 10%. And it's a amusement tax. Like Upper Merion has a 10% amusement tax. Pittsburgh has a 10% amusement tax. Philly only has a 5%, but it's pretty common. But it's also going to cost us even for the tickets that we give away for free.
Yeah, so free is never free, and particularly now, free is never free plus 10%. So Okay.
And
Um,
and this was not a negotiated thing. This was,
No.
they told us they were doing this, to clarify. Sorry.
No, because they're going to do they're going to do it for any organization that is having an event in Upper Salford Township, including the things that go on at Spring Mountain and the adjacent campground, which is not the same organization but is next door, and they work together. And things that are planned there as well are going to be hit with that same amusement tax. So, yeah, there it is. Is that it, Kimberly?
Yes, I've run out of words on the paper. Thank you.
Cool. Good. Thank you for your words. Co-op report, Rob.
Yes, we are very fortunate to have put together a steering committee of some key co-op members we are very grateful to. They include Maura Levine, Megan Carey, Marion Halliday, Ari Yaris, and Jefferson Berry. And we are meeting every Sunday to really rethink and improve the co-op. We are just beginning our efforts. We want to make sure that we do not put anything out until we get some feedback from the rest of the co-op members. So a survey is being created. And we want to be sure that we don't make any promises we can't keep, so that the information, for instance, on the co-op website right now is not necessarily current, just like much of the website. If you want to know what's going on with co-op, just get to me or one of those members and we can update you. The one interesting thing that we have at least tentatively decided, two very interesting things, and Maura can add if there's more that she'd like to add here. But one is that we are going to make it a real cooperative, a real co-op where we are going to be giving back to each other. And as a result, we will have more people involved, supporting each other, and hopefully also create a fun activity for the larger membership as a whole. Another piece is we want to rebrand the name. And I don't know whether it's official yet, because the co-op group will get some feedback. We want to call it, at this point, the PFS Performing Artist Cooperative, the PFS PAC. And once we begin to think like a cooperative and work together, we believe that it's going to be the strongest organization in terms of the co-op that we've had in the past, much stronger than in the past. So it's very similar to the approach that we want to take together as we move forward, that we want to try to create that sense of giving back. And I know that already this organization has a incredible volunteer history. So I'm very grateful to those people on the co-op. And I am very grateful also again to those of you who will be part of the fundraising plan. I have a question before I close, and we'll see if Maura wants to add anything, but I have a question. Miles, I have an answer to one of the questions. Should I just put it in the chat related to fundraising, or do you want to wait till the end?
Let's wait till the end, because if it comes up again,
Okay.
it's, we don't want to answer the same question 3 times.
Got it. Okay. So Maura, I hope that I presented that accurately. Is there something that you need to add at this point?
Well, I just want to say that the team is just getting started, and we are looking at various aspects. We're looking at, what was offered in the past, which many people did not receive those benefits. So what is it that we can physically do with the crew that we have without having a paid staff member or a specific facility? What will the fees be? What will we be able to do with those fees? Performance opportunities, budget. It's critical not to set false expectations. Rob mentioned that. And we are looking at how we can structure the organization to run with the co-op members needing to do volunteer hours and all the various and sundry things that they could be doing as a volunteer, including shows put on. I think Rob mentioned, I don't know if you did mention that there's the potential of the Keswick as the little side theater in the Keswick being used for performances. So we would need to have co-op members staff those. And even though we can't do fundraising at this particular point in time, one potential activity could be that the co-op members drive a concert or an event that they staff and do. And I'm not sure if Rob, if you can clarify if that has to be after we get our VCO or before.
You're muted.
Thank you, Maura. I'll answer that, and then I know that Miles will want to move on to the next subject. But basically, at the last meeting, we mentioned that the Keswick has been kind enough to offer their side venue for regular activities that'll include both concerts and meetings. And it may not be exclusive to the co-op. There may be other opportunities as well if others have need. In terms of fundraising, none of this will be fundraising related. The fundraising event that I referred to will be a very different animal, and we don't know the location of that, but that will be a much larger event involving all of the membership and beyond. But in terms of these events, we can start them as soon as we're ready and we get the input from the co-op.
That's
And we
great.
have people that can actually man it.
And one of the things the survey will do is we're going to take an inventory of the skills that our co-op members have so that they can offer courses to each other over the course of the next year, so that we don't have to bring people in and pay them to do, development courses for the co-op. We have a lot of talent within the board and within the co-op, but we just need to get an inventory of the talents that our members have.
Right.
That's it. Thank you.
Mara. Just a thought, a piece of board business relating this. Let's talk amongst the board about renaming, the renaming idea. I agree it must be renamed. I like that name, but we need to talk to make sure all of our branding is kind of consistent. And for instance, performing artists isn't always music, so we'd have to decide if that's a venue we want to open up, or a can of worms we want to open up, because there's a lot of performance that is not music per se. Although I like the initials you come up with. But let's talk about that. And the other piece is, I don't know if this got mentioned. I just want to let our members who are attending know that the Keswick Theater now has control of a space that used to be a restaurant that was next door to the Keswick. It used to be called Dino's, and they used to do like Rat Pack style shows. It's basically like a bar with some cafe tables and a very small stage stuffed against a wall, and it's a cute little space. And the restaurant lost its lease or ended its lease, and the township actually doesn't want an active kitchen operating there because it's a wood frame building and there are apartments above. And they're very worried about that in an old building. So the Keswick is managing it as a side stage for music and related events, and that's Judith Herbst, former board member, has been working with us to basically give us the opportunity to use that space if we can figure out the best ways. So that's just an informational piece for everybody who's listening. Rob, you look like you wanted to add something.
I saw something that I'm going to ask offline. I just noticed something in the comments that might be interesting. Sorry about that.
Again, taking a piece of advice I got from Jim Klingler months ago, you almost have to ignore the comments or you go down the rabbit hole of trying to answer every one quickly, and then it just gets, so people who are posting in the comments, thank you. There's the reason I'm not looking at them because it's a rabbit hole. All right, let me move on. Thank you very much, Rob, and Mara Levine. Thank you for your help on that one. All right, we have some outstanding issues that I want to talk about. Earlier this year, it came to my attention, and then I lost it. And Lee Tice brought it to my
Rob,
attention.
is your camera off?
Who are you speaking to, Jim?
You.
Is
Is your video off?
No.
No, it's on.
You may need to scroll through the squares at the top or the side. So Lee Tice sent me pictures. I'd known about this and completely forgot that there are 2 full dumpsters of trash from the 2022 festival. They're still on the site from J&K. or JK or whoever the heck it is, trash removal. And Eric was going to track him down and his hand's up, so maybe he knows what's going on. Go ahead, Eric.
As of the end of the day tomorrow, there'll be one less dumpster on the site. And then the week after that, there shall be no dumpsters on the site. And J&K apologizes that they made, basically didn't take those and that it took this long for them to take them away.
Kind of makes me wonder how long they were missing 2 dumpsters and not noticing. But and I don't really want to know the condition of the stuff that's been sitting there since August of 2022, but yuck, not my problem. Thank you, Eric Ring. I hope to hell that gets taken care of. Let me check. The other thing we talked about, probably $15,000, not in writing yet, but looks like that's where we're going to pay off United Site Services, the $26,000 bill. It's actually going to be $16,000, but that's okay. Vimeo, we have a $7,000+ bill that's in collections. We're working with them on, but the current bill for the last quarter is $2,730. We're going to pay that. Information about I'm just going down my list. Arctic Ice is in collections. We're trying to figure out how to. They apparently gave us a discount for the melted ice and the malfunctioning trailer, which is news to me. It was not what I was told by the previous administration. So just I'm annoyed about that. And finally, board members, we had a couple of people had at different times for the various things they're doing said they're looking for volunteers with specific skills. Are there any specific volunteers, skill sets that people are looking for at this point? Kimberly?
I am always looking for anyone who knows how to put together anything communications wise, any copy, anyone who is a writer, and anyone who wants to learn or knows how to schedule and get involved with social media.
Thank you. Wendy, your hand was up.
Yes, there we go. I'm unmuted. I will fully admit that after my months of trying to get out of the Ridge Avenue venue, we got everything into the new venue and I took a break because I needed a break. However, we need to get the new venue up and running, specifically the office part. There's just stuff in boxes. There's tables that need to be put together. So if anyone is willing to meet me there, not on a weekday because I work all week, but on a weekend to really put, and this is going to take some work, lifting things, putting things together, using tools, that would be really helpful. wfewer@pfs.org. Just get a hold of me or message me on Facebook or whatever. We can figure out, we can probably knock it out in a day or two, but I just want to get the office space up and running. Thanks.
Yes, and to that end, Bob Baldwin has offered some business quality file cabinets and maybe a few other office pieces as he's closing out his office. We've been in email communication today about when that stuff can be delivered. We had, if you remember, a few really horrible file cabinets in the basement at Ridge Avenue, which we got rid of, and one that was a fireproof lined with concrete that is probably still in that basement because nobody was willing to move it anywhere. But Bob Baldwin has offered to give us file cabinets, which is great. We'll need that. Yeah, we need to get that space up and running and being more functional. So anybody who's serious and can help. Again, if you got a bad back, bad knees, bad attitude, this thing is upstairs. And they're steep stairs. They're a pain in the ass. So if carrying crap upstairs is something you can't do, this probably is not a thing for you to volunteer for. Although we'd love the emotional support. There's also not room. The space in Glenside, and when we get specifics to get people there, we'll give that information. But it is on East Glenside Avenue. It is it is between Easton Road and Rice's Mill Road. It is across from where Bickley Road comes in. and dead ends at Glenside Avenue. There was a little ice cream parlor there. It's still there. It is behind that space. There's an old series of very old industrial, like old industrial buildings back there. And we have two suites there. One is the storage side, one's the office side. So that's where it is. If people need specifics about address and that kind of crap, I can get that to you. Also, please remember, people, that it is no longer the active mailing address. The active mailing address is that P.O. Box in Mount Airy, 19119 in Philadelphia, which at the moment I can't get to because they're not open, but we'll fix that or get that fixed. But don't find out the address of the office in Glenside and mail stuff there, because there's not a mailbox. So there's no place to put stuff. So we're not doing that. Okay, Rob, go ahead, question.
Yes, volunteers. It would be wonderful if there's somebody that actually works in a resource development office. We have one incredible volunteer. Thank you, Erin. But it's very helpful to have people that do that professionally if they happen to be wanting to volunteer. And beyond that, I think that will be it for now.
I'm going to throw this out there. Months ago at the cleanout, Emily Sigafus offered to help with financial stuff. Emily, I know you're here. Is that correct? I don't know if Emily's still on. And we sent the name around and it sort of disappeared. So well, I'm going to get that back into circulation, but Emily had offered to help out with financial stuff. So we'll you know.
Emily's still in the meeting.
All right, we did lose you, but not completely. So now your name's back to the top of my list. So thanks for your patience on that. All right, anything else from the board before we open things up to questions from members? All right, we will take questions from members. Remember, keep them constructive, keep them kind, keep them short.
I see Trish.
Bunch of you guys had questions in the text, but in the chat. So if you have them now, this would be a good time to answer. Use the hand raise thing in your on your browser there, your Zoom bottom page. Joanne Wadsworth, go ahead, my friend.
How can I find out who the festival committee chairs are?
I think Kimberly can answer that.
Yeah, Nina has sent me a list. Just email me, ksinclair@pfs.org, and we'll send you the list.
Say that again, please. ksinclair@pfs.org?
Yeah, KSINCLAIR @pfs.org.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thanks.
Sure.
I see another one. Saul, go ahead. You're muted, Saul. You got to unmute.
I don't know how to. Oh, there we. Thank you. Okay. This is going to sound a bit like beating the proverbial dead horse, because I brought this up a few times before. I'm just curious. I do all of my searches on Good Search, and I try to do some of my shopping on Good Shop. I'm trying to find out if anybody like Eric knows if you've actually been getting any of that money. It's not a lot of money. It's like maybe $10 total this fiscal year.
It could be going into the S&T account.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Well, don't be afraid. I mean, it's an account that we have. We just haven't necessarily. I don't think that there's a lot of activity in it anyway, but we haven't really been tracking it because we didn't have the statements.
But there is when we did get into the bank and they showed us what was there, there's small amounts of money coming in dribs and drabs that we can't explain, and that could be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that would be it, because it's like I generate maybe a dollar or two a month out of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I keep telling people, well, goodsearch.com, goodshop.com, it takes the place of the Amazon Smile program.
That's right.
Right. I also
I
don't
think
think
I'm
that
the
we
only
can-
one who's doing it.
well, I don't think that we can ask people to do it necessarily also because we don't have our license to solicit yet. So,
Oh,
But we can't ask them to do it. But you
correct.
shouldn't be worried that if it's being done,
Right.
Correct.
it's a very thin line. So we cannot ask
can't-
anybody to do that.
We can't
Okay.
solicit,
In
unsolicited
other words,
donations we can take.
But you do not
Well-
need to worry if you are doing it because
Okay.
you've done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering why you said that's what you were worried about. There's no issue. We just can't ask you to do it.
right. Okay. Thank you.
Good. Trish Hurley, Callahan, go ahead.
Hey, first I'll tell you a couple of good things. Having the bluegrass on, it says I'm muted. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. That I'm archiving the Bluegrass and Old Time Music Festival cassettes from 1980, 81, 82, and 83. And some of those 80 is not great, but the other years are really pretty good. So we're adding to the archive collection all the time. I'm also getting some CDs from a fellow in Arizona named Jack Pearson, who reel-to-reel recorded Gene Shea shows back in 1971. And those are phenomenal as far as being, you can't find a lot of the recordings
Right.
on Spotify that Gene was playing on his show. So once I get all of those in, I will do a set list for all of those, and then we'll have those for the eventual use that we can make of the archives. Which brings me to the actual question, which is, what are we doing with Vimeo? Does Vimeo still have a platform that we could present archives on? I mean, I know Sam was the conduit for all the things that we were doing, and we don't have to get too much into that here, but if we're paying Vimeo for services that we could use, but we're not getting, maybe we want to think about that. And second, has anybody seen a bill from Iron Mountain, or are we just on some magic carpet ride with them at this point?
Moving backwards, we have not seen a recent bill from Iron Mountain. I'm a little worried about the magic carpet, but
Right.
haven't seen a bill in a while. We need to talk about how people can access the what we can show that's on Vimeo, because there are newer performance contracts and recorded contracts allow the Folksong Society to show those things. Older archive contracts did not necessarily, and so we can't run afoul of copyright law, but we'll need to look at that. So we can do that away from this meeting, because we'd have to look stuff up.
Right. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Greg Landis, go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you all for all the hard work and organization you guys are putting in.
Thank you.
So, kind of a three-part question here. Are the back audits, are they complete now? That's number one. And then along with that, how's the nonprofit status? And then thirdly, you mentioned a VCO. Explain what that is.
Okay, let me back up again backwards. It's a BCO, as in Bureau of Charitable Organizations. It is a certification from Pennsylvania to allow businesses to solicit funds, allow nonprofits to solicit funds. So the BCO lapsed last year or the year before, and in order to get it back, we could have just sent a check and filled out a form, but it lapsed, and so now they were looking for updated data. I'm sorry, they were looking for updated audits or financials that were audited in the general sense, that were looked at by an outside professional, and they're looking for 2021. We had given them 19. They were willing to skip 20, but they said you can't get it back till we look at 2021, which leads us to your first question about audits, and I'll let Eric Ring answer that.
Let me answer that. So where we are is 2020 is done. We submitted our 990. That's that $10,500 fine that we have, which I'm going to try to abate if I can. We're now, I would say, and I just talked with Eric Robbins, who is sort of dealing with 2021 right now. He thinks that he can get that done within maybe like a week or two. And then we again have a CPA lined up that will do a compilation, which right now is our only requirement for 21. That should take hardly any time. And then once that's done, then they give it to me and I will prepare and file the 21-990, which is late. But once we get that submitted, we would be caught up on all our filings. I'll send everything to the Commonwealth and we'll file the BCO along with, I think the fine for them might be like $250. It's pretty, not great, but it's pretty minimal. And then the Commonwealth would have 14 days to get back to us to give us our license to solicit. Our nonprofit status, in essence, was never really at jeopardy. When I filed the 2020-990, that kind of put that to bed. So we're not in any risk of losing our nonprofit status. Our only issue is, again, we don't have a license to solicit, so we can't file the BCO until we're caught up with the Commonwealth.
And I'll say this again because I've had to say it a couple of times because it is confusing. The BCO is not the equivalent of the 501c3.
Correct.
So we still have our federal U.S. government nonprofit status as a nonprofit charitable organization to which you can become a member and if you give us unsolicited donations, take tax write-offs and all that stuff, that's unaffected by the BCO, which is a Pennsylvania charitable organization's ability to solicit funds. So a lot of people, when they first started hearing about the BCO, conflated those in their heads, and I was getting late night emails about, oh my God, we don't have our 501c3. When are we going to get it back? Never lost it. We always have it. Thank God. So that's what that is. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for clearing that up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your questions. They were good. Sean Donahue.
Hi. I just had a question. Oh, okay. I just had. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, my dog does not want me to ask this question. I'm just going to type it. I'm going to type it.
Okay. Dogs. Thank you. We'll wait for that to turn up and see if it. So while we're waiting for that, because it's a legitimate question that is coming in this way. Kimberly says, Trish, you're in my brain. Let's connect via email. So, okay. Sean says, I was just wondering if we own the rights to the At Fest movie, and if yes, if we could stream it during the fest when it would normally be as a fundraiser. I do not think we do. Eric?
Yeah, no, it was done by an independent person who I know. Awesome guy, does a great job with the videography, but it was his side project that he did. The unsolicited fundraising event that they had that we had no idea about.
None.
It was just them getting together and showing the movie, and then I think Jen Hoffman was the one who put that together. But the Philadelphia Folksong Society has no rights to the At Fest movie whatsoever. They do own the rights, however, to the Smiling Banjo book.
All right. So we could have a Smiling Banjo book fundraiser. Good. I hope that answers that question, Sean. I don't see any more hands up, and I am highly appreciative of the fact that it's hot and it's July, and we might be able to finish a meeting in just over an hour, which would be some kind of freaking record. So unless any board members have any other issues you want to address, Wendy, go ahead.
Not addressed, but there's two questions that were not addressed in the chat that I wanted to throw out to the board. The one is, do we have sponsors? I believe the answer to that is no. Rob would have that answer.
Yeah, I actually wanted to answer that question. We are in debt. Our plan is to get out of debt. The way we're going to get out of debt is by getting new members and then having a big event. Sponsors are not interested in investing in an organization that's in debt, but it's still possible. It's still possible that we could get somebody to come to us and want a sponsorship, but we can't solicit at the moment anyways. So the short answer is we're planning our materials to be ready to present as soon as we get our BCO, and most of our sponsorship solicitation will occur after that event in late December through early March, so that by the time we have the fest, we'll be seeing presenting sponsors, all of those sponsorships out there. But everything needs to happen in an order. That's what the plan is about.
Gotcha.
It is a legally binding order too. So,
two other things in the chat. One is a suggestion, which I thought was good, to change things like ice and shower and golf carts to voucher rather than ticket, which I thought was a great idea. And then the other thing was, how can we stop or reduce giving away free tickets, which is a very good question.
And there's no easy answer on the one about free tickets, except that we'll have to discuss it, because nothing is free, right? I mean, quoting Andy Braunfeld, even a pencil costs a pencil. And when you give stuff away and now it's taxed at 10%, it's not free plus 10%. And the thing we'd have to look at is the legalese, and have a lawyer look at this, of whether we call it a voucher or something else. Does it still qualify as a ticket under Pennsylvania law? Because if it does, doesn't matter what we call it, we'd have to play by those rules. So we'll have to look at that. Dave Axler, go ahead.
Thank you.
How you feeling? You feeling okay?
Yeah, so far.
Good.
So, two things. One, when is the next meeting? And two, the use of the acronym PAC is not a good idea, because to most people, that means Political Action Committee.
Correct.
We wish to remain apolitical.
Yes, it also shows up as Performing Arts Center or Performance Arts Center. So there's a, that's a very good point about the action packs. Yes, thank you. Real good. And to your question about the next meeting, the original schedule was that it was going to be the Saturday morning of Fest. But we're not doing that. So it will follow the regular pattern, and it will be on the 23rd of August at 7 in the evening, following the regular fourth Wednesday of the month. John. Thank you. Jonathan Takeoff, go ahead. I think you're muted.
How's that? Better now? Hey, good. Sorry, I came in late. From the discussion about the township taxing, it sounds like it's a fait accompli, that you're only thinking about going back to the pool farm.
Well, it's pretty much at this point, where we are, it would be difficult at approximately, essentially a year out to negotiate into something else. There's also a lot of good reasons to return to the old pool farm. And with the taxing issue, we also need to understand that with the exception perhaps of Philadelphia, everybody's going to have some kind of tax wherever you go. So we have to kind of look carefully at that. But really, that is a longer term thing to look at for down the pike after 2024.
Okay, well, I hate to beat a drum because I think I've promoted this idea to you before, Miles. I still recommend that the board people go take a look at the Salem County Fairgrounds in New Jersey where the Bluegrass Festival is held.
Yep.
It's a site that comes set up. It doesn't require months of construction work to make it happen.
Right.
It's there. It's smaller, but I believe a small festival that is filled is a lot better than a big site that's 1/4 filled.
Yep. Agreed.
So I would recommend that the least you can do is go take a look at it. And I asked the people who run the Delaware Valley Bluegrass Festival, would you mind if the Folk Festival used this site as well? And they said, we don't have a problem with that.
Right.
There are,
it is on our list of things to look at because everything, as we said last meeting, there are no sacred cows left. So everything has to be looked at for efficiency, efficacy. That's the same thing, but you get the idea for workability.
Right.
So yeah.
I hope I see some of you people there.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
All right. I think we've come to the end of our rainbow here. Will somebody make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
I'll second.
Very good. Okay, this meeting is now adjourned. Board members, stick around for a little bit, not long. And what we'd ask at this point is everybody who's not a board member, you may exit, go about your lives. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again in a month. You can always get a hold of us through email. And, we're all busy. We're all busy. We're all working. But we're doing our best to keep things going. So please get in touch. Thank you all very much for attending. Board members, stick around for just a little bit.
We're gonna stop recording.
Oh, yes, please.
We're down to 23 people are leaving.
What was the total number? About 60?
66.
All right. 2/3 of the mark of the devil.
New people in the waiting room.
Yeah, 2 people just showed up.
Well,
Listen.
Bruce was in before, but he
May have bounced out. Yeah.
I'm just going to ignore it.
Yeah, there are always those people who show up as the show is ending and wonder why they missed it. But,
We are still recording, just so people know.
That's okay.
And we're live streamed still.
Well,
All
there are
right.
a number of thank yous in the chats, guys. So
Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you for your hard work. It's nice to see this. It's nice to see